This is tape 5. Today is May 30th, 1996, and our survivor is Moshe Bergman. When did you first reach the United States?
1949 in August, came with a ship with my wife, and then my daughter Razi was already born in Germany. The oldest daughter came here, this uncle that was so good to us. He was a great uncle from my wife's side. He waited for us, he received us like people coming out from a Gehenna, from a fire. We've been lucky. They tried to find me a job. I still had a hard time, even in America, to find a job for one reason, not to work on Shabbos. It's not these days today. And I insisted, I will Shabbos, I will not work, whatever it is. These people, modern people in America, did not understand it. Also, they were very good to us. They didn't understand it, but finally, I have won. We found out there are a lot of more people doing this, not working Shabbos. So my first job, they took me to a factory by introducing me, making me a polisher, polishing metal for plating, for me to be a yeshiva bucher to polish metals. But after we're going through all the joinments, Gehenna, it was easy, and everything was easy. But the Parnusa was very tight. I make at that time $1 an hour, paid $60 a month rent. And it was keeping the eyes open, as the uncle said. Everybody comes here the same way. If somebody keeps his eyes open and has a little mazel, we start the same thing, maybe you'll get somewhere. Baruch Hashem. I worked at this place, named the place, even don't remember, polishing metals. And it came vacation. I says to this man, I want to leave for vacation. July was vacation time, but I'm going to look around for something. Maybe I will not come back. Because people told me, if you're in a place and you stay there, you'll never have anything. So I tried to go. Look for business. Finally, I found a little woodworking shop that an old man has set it up. He didn't have it for a long time. He set it up in the wartime. He set up a little jewelry box place. And he sold it to me, buy it for a little nothing, because there was nothing to buy, nothing to pay, no money to pay, nothing to buy. But I got myself a partner with this big history of my own, a survivor from Auschwitz and from a lot of other places. Although he was not from it all, but he was going along with my Shabbusim, with my Toivim. He just passed away this year, and I should remember this for his good. He never questioned any Shabbos or Yontif. It has to be closed. Also, through the years, I've been him for 32 years in the same business.
What was his name? His
name was Mark Reym, R-E-Y-M in America. At home, he had another name, Reym Beshevsky. And we went along nicely, and thank God, Hashem was good to us. I made a good living. I raised my children.
Could you tell me about your other children? You mentioned Razi.
Second one was Henry, Yehuda Hershon, now a Yiddish name. He's now a successful lawyer, Baruch Hashem. Razi is married to a doctor named Hanina Folk. He's very useful for the American government because he works for CDC, Public Health. And he is also useful for the entire world, since America is used for the entire world, and they don't want to appreciate us. Because I'm a very American patriot. So he is useful for and he is living in Atlanta, Georgia. He's there for quite a bit of years. My Razi is a CPA in her own rights, having a job in a very company, young and some of the other company. She had young and.
Did you have any other children?
The other children, talking of Henry, he's a lawyer, I mentioned him already. After him was born a daughter, Chana, and she is a paralegal. She works too. She has a husband named Saul Teubman. And these are our 3 children. We have 8 grandchildren. and I'm now at 72, 74 years. Baruch Hashem, I should not complain. What I say, a little night dreams, a little nervous.
How would you describe your religious affiliations now?
My religious?
Affiliations.
Well, I belong to the Agudas Yisrael. I'm a paying member there.
What shul?
And I also, I go to Kahal Avrom, it's called here in the neighborhood.
Rabbi?
The shul, the rabbi's name is Oshri. It's a Hasidic shul. Go back to the original. Everybody goes back to where he started. Also, I don't look now as Hasidic. I don't dress Hasidic. But in my heart, I still have it.
What do you think your relationship with Hasidus is now?
Very much. I'm still connected with Belz. There is a Belzer Rebbe in Israel, and he's building a very, very big settlement called the Kiryah in Yerushalayim. And Baruch Hashem, on my own, I helped a lot. Financially, I still do, and I'm paying my dues very well.
How do you spend your free time now?
Well, you know, at my age, you go to shul and you come back and you do a little learning, and you take a walk a little for exercise. The doctor says I don't walk enough. He wants me to walk more, but I shouldn't complain. I had in the Bronx before I moved here, I have given a shia there every Shabbos for about 10 people. I went through a lot of mesechtas. And this took a lot of time of me because I had to prepare. But now I moved here the last 2 years, so here they wanted me to start here too, but I don't think I can do it anymore. It's very hard. Even if you learned a lot, but when you get at this age, it's hard.
What comes to mind when you think back to the Holocaust?
Comes back a lot my mother that I didn't mention. I see her all the time. It's a tzedakis as she was. You don't find these days. She could take off a tichel from her head and come and somebody seeing a poor woman and give it to her and put on something else just to give it away from her. That's how good she was. And how did she finish up? But I cannot forget it. We mentioned at the Dritte Aktie that she was saved because the police or whoever gathered all these people didn't notice her. She was somewhere in the corner. Now there was a fifth Aktie again that she was saved too, also by miracles. If I go into details, I'll get lost. It's a long time. But unfortunately, there was a sixth one. The sixth one she did not survive. She was under 50 years old, and in today's age she was a young woman. But at that time it was all no job, no working place, no nothing. We lived together, me, my brother, and my mother. As I said before, my father and my youngest brother have been shipped away on the third Aktie. So we lived together. They put us in a ghetto. We didn't live in the place where we lived all our times. They put us in a ghetto. And if you went to the ghetto, you probably looked to get nobody had his own place to live. They gathered families together. So we looked to get into places to be more suitable for us. We didn't know for how long we were going to live. We lived there very shortly because she was killed very soon. But we had somebody by the name, he was a shoichet in the city. His name was Chaim Shoicher, they called him, a Hasidic Yid. He was not living anymore. He had his grandchildren living in his place. And this house happened to be in this ghetto. So we managed, by permission of the UNOT, which was not easy. We couldn't move where we wanted. UNOT managed to get into this house to live together. So we lived together with two families in one house. And our family, and their family. Well, one day, we've been going out to work. We worked for the Beskiden, as I said before, for bites. We've been going to work one day, and the people there have been afraid. They will not the people have been, the panic was so badly. People been afraid. Something is coming, something is coming, something is coming. We didn't know that they made on their list to find every Jew clean out to the very last one. As a matter of fact, they took so many censuses all the time to know whether they lose one, whether one is missing, whether it's not missing, to go and find it. So my mother she left us. So we even had a few zloty spoilership that was worth nothing, but it still meant some money. These few zlotys that we had, this family of ours, the three of us, we always had it given to our mother, not carrying with us. Should she carry it? Why should she carry it? Because we are working people, we have papers that will work. My mother doesn't have anything. So in case somebody, maybe she could bribe somebody, she would have the few zlotys. Anyway, they rounded up this ghetto one morning. And this was called the sixth act here. They rounded up this ghetto, and they were going after us too, but we happened to be on our way to work. They usually did it early in the morning. We've been going to work, and one German policeman screamed to me and to my brother. To me, first we saw some Polacks came over and said, "Lapion Żydów," which means they're gathering up Jews to us, run away. They didn't mean any. They meant for good maybe, but we knew they are so solemn to us. They're so that they just want to scare us. So we were not sure. But as soon as they said Lapion Żydów, means they're catching Jews, one was behind us and started to scream, "Stein bleiben, stein bleiben, stein bleiben." So if he said "Stein bleiben," means stand, wait, stand. So if he said stand, we started to run. So we ran into a court where there was we didn't know what happened to our mother. We left her in the ghetto. We ran, because we've been on our way to work. We ran into this court. There was a stable that this court there was a house, an empty house from someone that was left empty. It was out of the ghetto. It was not in the ghetto, of course. And there was a stable that no horses there. On top of the stable was a little attic. And then there was a step ladder to go up at the attic. So we went up at the attic, we pulled up the step ladder, and we were there for the rest of the day. And we heard a lot of shooting. So we knew already that something is going on. But at night, it was dark, we decided maybe we'll go down and find out what happened to our mother. It was the most stupid thing to go out of this attic and to go look for my mother, whether she's hiding or not, or whether she's there or she's not there. But somehow the instinct, the malach, said to us, don't go to the ghetto, but go to this and this place. We had outside of the ghetto, we had a Gentile family, Polish and a good one. But I remember their name, Palashevsky. At this family, Palashevsky, my mother had an approach to them. So we was under the impression that my mother managed from the ghetto to run away to them. She was not caught.
Was there any fence around this ghetto?
Was there any fence? No. She could run out of this ghetto and go get to this family, Palashevsky, to this Gentile family. Of course, we come in, they saw us. What do you do here? They're shooting Jews. You came to see maybe my mother managed to escape to you. She's not here, so we know already that the ghetto, they told us, go get out of here, I don't want to die for you, which was a real scare. They've been scared. But we had chutzpah telling them, you're not going out. If you want us to die, call the police and let them take us out from here. We knew they're still good people. We should remember that. And this Palashevsky, he put us down on the basement and made a little hiding place for us. He gave us a little water and a little piece of bread, the two of us hiding down there. And we've been there for about overnight. We came at night. Next day she was afraid. She put us in the attic, on her attic, down, up. She didn't know what to do. The poor woman, been all day long praying to Jesus Christ to help us. We have heard all these prayings. I think that was a Wednesday. I told you, I'm trying. Anyway, we've been there for two or 3 days. One day was 3 days. 2 days we've been with this Palashevsky family. After the third day she came up. Thank God, all that, no more, all shot out, no more catching, no more, you can go home. You don't remember. Even they want to say something good, they say, thank God it's finished. Instead of saying, thank God it's finished, what do you mean they all shot out? Before they used to take transport and send them to Belzec. Even the fifth actually was being sent away. But this was on the very last steps. It was only a seventh after this. It was not anymore because the Jewish population have shrunk and shrunk and shrunk. So what they did, they took the Ukrainian working labor people, and they dug out a grave of 10 meter by 10 meter by some meters deep, and they took the people out of this gathering place, which was again a moving place, not moving place, a moving picture place, because these places have been a little bigger. So they took them out and they made them walk. They made them walk, which was, you can imagine how far this grave is from the city that they made them walk. It's not even, because they had to do it, they had to accomplish this in a whole day. There was probably about 600 people at that time. That's what I was talking about. 600 people. They made them undress. They didn't leave them even their underwear. They made them undress. They took them one by one and they shot them. And it was believed that a lot of people, they walked them on a board. Whoever walked, this was the SD or SA, whoever was there. They walked them on the board. Whoever fell down from the board didn't get a bullet. He was alive there. So a lot of people have been even buried alive. I don't know my mother said where she was shot, how she was shot. I was at that time in this Palashevsky basement hiding. So we came out of this hiding, and we found out all whatever has happened. And they covered it with ground, with oil, of course, after there's so many people, so much blood, 600 people in one grave. Next day, this entire ground, this entire oil raised up. These people have been swollen up. And this raised up, they brought tractors and pressed it down.
Did you see this?
No, I see that. How could I see? I could not walk out of I belonged to the Arbeitscamp, or I belonged to that. If I'm not in the Arbeitslager, I'm that. So we've been in this Arbeitslager from this Palashevsky. We went to our place of work. And this was the end of my mother, and she was lucky that I've been still in the camp with a lot of people. Lucky. And we say lucky, but I had a full-fledged saying Kaddish a whole year, because I know she was there. And I davened every morning. We got up, everybody was saying Kaddish. There was no problem Kaddish sayers in our camp. And we had a minyan there, and we observed it until we was from the camp until I escaped to the woods. This was the end of my mother. Wait, I didn't finish it. Something else yet. My mother, knowing that she had a few zlotas, imagine what the feeling of her mother. And we are somewhere hiding out because she didn't see us. And she wanted us to have these few zlotas. She knowing she's going to be shot. She managed to give these few zlotas to a Jewish policeman, because the Jewish policeman was going with the Germans, and the Jewish policeman was named, he's a nice man. He was not a policeman to be not named a copper or something. His name was Boryslaw. I was told from other people that she gave the money to this Boryslaw in the moving place, because she knew that he is going to give us the money. So what happened to these few zlotas? It doesn't mean that. Did it reach her? No. The Germans probably had a number of so and so many people, and it was missing. So they took this same policeman, and they shot him down there too. So he is there with my mother, also naked. He doesn't have the zlotas with him. He would have given it back. But this is another little episode, the feeling of a mother knowing that she's going to death. And the two sons are still somewhere.
How did your experiences affect your religious beliefs?
How I experienced?
How did
understand this
how did your experiences, what you had gone through with the war,
After the war?
During the war? How were your religious beliefs affected?
How they are affected? I have a lot of questions. Can't help it. I have a lot of questions. If I would tell you through my sitting in the camp, in this labor camp, that a little child was shot, and not shot to death, and he came into my bed where I slept. His name was Leibke Altko. Maybe I should mention his name. And he said to me, Mr. Bergman, I'm not dead yet. He was 13 or 14 years old. I took him, I covered him up with my cover. So the camp, he had no right to be in camp. He had no work, he had no papers, he had nothing. I covered him up till the next day. The next day I left him under my cover there where I slept. The next day, I didn't find him anymore. So that's the end. So how it's affected? What did this child do? What did my brother do? My mother did tzedekis. I still use the same expression. I have questions, but I'm a very observant Jew. I believe it was exam in the Shemayim. It was exam. It is a certain I don't know how to say, some neshumas that have been put into these. People try to explain it. I try to buy it, but I cannot explain it because I don't know why. I don't know why. I don't know an answer. I don't know what other people are saying. I don't know an answer.
Do you think you ever witnessed the hand of God at Yad Vashem?
If what?
Did you ever witness the hand of God?
All the time. I just told you. I had a malach next to me all the time. That's this. We managed from bunker to bunker. It just happened by incident that this man was at this place at this given good time. If one name is Lonik Hoffman, if Lonik Hoffman wouldn't be in this place where we have been caught by these Ukrainians, they would have shot us out. This Lonik Hoffman saved us. And another place was Marcus Agate or something. I don't remember his last name. He was in the other place where these Ukrainians ran over us. I left my tefillin downstairs. He just happened to visit us, and he took us to his place. So there was always a malach there.
You mentioned your nightmares. Could you tell us something?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Could you tell us something about them?
Yeah, today I wake up in the morning, I open my eyes. I'm sure that I'm in my nightmares, I'm surrounded by Germans. And I managed to live through the other one. Now I'm here again. I remember that I managed. Sometimes I don't remember. Sometimes I remember us sitting in this bunker, in this religious bunker. They called my bunker, they called the Hasidim bunker. I remember sitting in this Hasidim bunker, Shabbos, and davening Shabbos and singing Zmiras in the bunker and praying to God and knowing that all these people are not here anymore, and I see these people in my dreams all the time. I would just call names, Shoel and Vedel, and just names, and they names to me now, but they.
What advice do you have for your children and your grandchildren and the future generations?
Well, I have a very strong advice to my children and grandchildren. I don't know why I'm survived, because better people than me have gone. I probably survived to build the Jewish people and to support Torah, and I send them all to yeshivas. As I mentioned before, they all Shomer Shabbos, Shomer Torah. And this was maybe the only justification for me that we built a new generation. And my grandchildren, Baruch Hashem, they all going to yeshivas now, and I hope they'll continue it. For this reason, maybe it will be worthwhile for me to survive. Otherwise, I don't know. Better people than me did not have the malach that I had. Definitely better people than me. Also, if these better people have survived, maybe they would build their bishpuchas too. But this is something that Hashem knows. We don't know. Why he sent me to survive, I don't know who I was in another generation, another Gilbert. We don't know that. We believers don't know that. The people that believe, and we don't know that.
What message would you now like to deliver to the world?
I have a tough question that I would like to ask. This might sound, people would not buy it maybe. The Gentiles or the Goyim are not denying the Holocaust. Some people are denying the Holocaust. They are anti-Semitic with a Holocaust and without a Holocaust. I don't know why I have to convince them that there was a Holocaust. They are the same anti-Semitic with or without. The brach means what means the brach? The hidings. The hidings are ours. I don't want them to hide, to have rachmunis on me, pity on me. They did it to me. The Gentiles did it to me. There was a German nation. They've been intelligent. They've been educated. They did it to me. I don't want them to cry what they did to me. I don't care. And I let them cry or not cry. So this hidings and this feelings is ours in my heart and in my feelings. And as far as they're concerned, I wouldn't go out and tell to convince them that my mother was put dead and without undershirt, just shot or not shot. I keep on saying, or alive or not shot. I'm not sure. As a matter of fact, they gathered people later after the sixth one. They couldn't gather any more hundreds of people to make the same show again because there was not any more left. So they gathered 20 people, 30 people, 40 people. They took them out on the same field, made a smaller grave, and shot him there too. And I remember saying, I was not there, I remember saying, a German officer saying that he died in shooting. He was not from the SS, just from the police department. He said, on a girl that was so pretty, that she was so pretty, her name was Lerner, Maschke Lerner. She was so pretty that it was a pity to shoot a girl like this. But he said to himself, but I gave her a good kugel, I gave her a good bullet so she shouldn't suffer. This was what Rachmanis meant to that, to give her the kugel, the bullet in the right place.
Thank you on behalf of the Shoah Foundation.
My pleasure. I don't know what to say, my pleasure, but it's a pleasure to maybe the world would know, our Jewish people should know. Our Jewish people should remember and know this is why we do it for the Gentiles. I don't. My feelings are. I don't want them to cry for my hurtings. For my feelings. On the right side is my mother, and the left side is myself. In the middle between of us is my brother Baal. Now this was done before, probably around 1925, when I was to be upshared. For 3 years is a custom to cut the hairs. So before they cut my hairs, this is the only picture that I had hairs. After this, no more hair. Baal was 2 years younger. He was probably not quite a year old.
Who's in this picture?
In this picture, my father and a friend of his.
Who's on the right side?
On the right side is my father. On the left side is a good friend, Mendel Cook. They both did not survive, as you know.
Who took this picture?
And I think this picture was taken on a Shabbos going from shul to shul. But how did not post for it? They just went on the street and somebody wanted to catch a picture how the Jews look like, so took this picture and then tried to sell them.
How did you get it?
I got it from someone after the war. I don't think we didn't have it in our house. I don't remember it even. My father wouldn't have bought it because it was taken on Shabbos.
Do you know the name of the man with your father?
Yes. Mendel Cook. He
And
was a merchant. He sold shoes.
And your father's name?
My father's name was Jacob Bergman, or Yaakov Hersh Bergman. This picture is my father. It was taken in the beginning when the Germans wanted everybody to have identification. As we can see, he's got his beard already short. And it was taken from from an identification book or something. How it got to me, I don't remember. Survived somewhere.
May 30th, 1996, and our survivor is Murray Bergman. Could you tell us about this photograph?
Well, it's my own photo. It was taken at the same time, and we all had to take, when they take censuses, and we all had to take identification, for identification card. But I cannot recall, and I don't know how it survived. I think I picked it maybe up by my brother somewhere. He had it. I don't remember myself having it through all the time.
Could you tell us about this?
Yeah, this was my picture taken before the war. It was probably a year or two before the war, when I was learning belts and I needed a picture for some reason. And I took this picture, and it must have been 1938 or 37 or something like that. This is my brother Isaac, and this picture probably was taken at the same time when we needed identification cards. Right in the very beginning. I remember going taking pictures. We thought that we are people, human beings, and maybe we need passport pictures, identification or something. But he perished. He was 14 years old when they took him to Belzitz. Yeah, this was taken in Ulm. This was at the P camp that we lived for a while before we went to the United States. And the right side is myself. The left side is Bale, my brother Bale, who survived the war. We both survived the war together. This is me and my wife Rita. This was taken, I would say, right after we got married. This is our wedding pictures. At that time, there was no photography like in the United States to get better pictures. This is already luxury at that time and at the peak end. This is my son's wedding. It was in 1975. The whole family is here. On the right side is my daughter Anne. Sitting next to her is our grandma, Jente, who lived till 100 years. And next is my wife Rita. And here's my mother-in-law Blime. And at this end is my daughter Razi, her son Yitzchak, standing. Top is my son-in-law, Henry Falk. That's myself. This is my daughter-in-law Rivke. And this is my son Henry.
Could you tell us about this?
Starting from the left side. Standing, the little boy is Yitzchak. Sitting is my daughter Razi. Standing is my daughter Hannah and her wedding. Behind Hannah standing is myself. And to my left is Hanina. To my right is my wife Rita. And Henry to the right. And my mother-in-law Blime, my daughter-in-law Rivke, holding Toby on her left, and Shapse next to her on Hannah's wedding. The little one is Yaakov, son of Hanin and Razi. This is myself on the right side, bar mitzvah of my grandson Herschel.
What's his
And
last
I'm
name?
helping him to put on the film. It was made a year ago, 1995.
What's his last name?
Herschel Teubman. This is my grandson Yaakov, the son of Razi and Hanina.
What's his last name?
Falk. And this is my grandson David, the son of Yehuda or Henry and Rivka Bergman.
Who's in this picture?
This is my granddaughter Rivka, the daughter of Hanina and Razi Falk. On the left side is my daughter Hannah and her daughter Hanny Teubman. Next is my wife Frida and my daughter-in-law Rivka Bergman. This is a very recent picture from me and my granddaughter Toby, the daughter of Rivka and Yehuda Bergman.
Could you introduce your wife?
Well, it's my wife Rita. Baruch Hashem. We had a lot to be thankful. She had the same malach as I had. to live through this whole business, as she'll tell herself. And we wish the Malach to stay with us for the rest of our life and give us a healthy and a long life. That's the Bekushin, that we pray to Hashem.
We have known each other for all of 70 years because we've been neighbors living across the street from each other. We know each other's families. And we lived our lives together. The early lives parallel and the later life together.
Thank you very much.